Hello students, good evening. So today we are going to discuss about the 10th standard history chapter 1. So that is the historiography. So that is the development in the West. So what are the countries in the western side of our world? So in that countries how history was developed. So about that we are going to discuss in this chapter. Before going to that, what is meant by history? History means when we are discussing about the any past events, so that we call as a history. And what is meant by historiography? Historiography means the study of history, so that we call as a historiography. What is that? The study of history we call as a historiography. And who are studying the history, so that people we call as a historians. So who are studying the history, that people we call as what? Historians. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to discuss about the who are the historians in the western side of western side countries, and how developed in that country's history, so that all we are going to discuss in this chapter. So historical research, writing and studies are carried out with an objective of understanding the chronological of the past events and their interconnections. This is called continuous process. Okay, so from fifth standard onwards we are studying what is meant by history. Okay, so how we when we want to write any history, what instructions we have to follow. Okay, how to research on that historical event. Okay, how to start the history. Okay, so these all things we already learned from fifth to ninth standard. Okay, so here also they are explaining same way. So what is that? History is a chronological order and it is their interconnection. Okay, so history is in a one sequential order, and one event is having the relation with the another event. So that is a continuous process. In the physical and natural science, the empirical method, laboratory method of experiments and observations is used to verify the available knowledge. Okay, so suppose when you are taking the science, so what are the science having? Suppose photosynthesis process. Okay, so how plants are getting food from sun, getting food. Okay, through the sunlight only it will preparing the food, so that process we call as a photosynthesis process. So anyone ask you, show me how, where is the proof of how plants are getting food from the sunlight. So anyone ask you like that, so that time you have to do that experiment, you can prove that also. But when we are going to the history, so we can't prove that history, because it is a past events, so we cannot recollect that past events. So that's why, so because of that purpose, when we are writing about any historical event or any historical document, we have to follow the some methods. Okay, so what is that methods? This method allows formulating laws that remain true irrespective of the time and space. Those laws can be tested and proved repeatedly. So when we are writing any historical document, you have to take care two factors very importantly. So that is the time and space. Okay, that means time means what? When that event was happened and where it was happened. So that two factors are very important for writing of your historical document. In historical research, it may not be possible to use the method of laboratory experiments on the observation. How science having the experiment laboratories. So, but when we are prove the history, so we don't have the laboratories, we don't have the any experiment also. This is so because we are not present in the historical time and space, and the historical event cannot be recreated. Okay, why we can't have the laboratories? We can't experiment. We can't do the experiment, we can't do the observation, because historical time we are in present, but that events was happened in the past. Okay, so that was completed, so how we can go in past? So it's not possible, so we cannot recreate that event also. So that's why there is no proof for a historical document or historical events. Also in history, it is not possible to formulate laws that remain too respective of the time and space. Okay, so that's why we don't have the any proof about that particular event. We can't prove also. But when we are writing the history, when we are studying the history of any particular event, so we have to take the particular time and particular space. So that is very important. To begin, we need an expert who knows the language and script of a historical document in order to read it and understand its meaning. Okay, so for writing of any historical document, so you got some information. Suppose any copper plate you got, so what wrote they on their copper plate. Okay, so we don't know that language. Suppose that is in Sanskrit language, so you know that you don't know that Sanskrit language. So what we have to do, so who knows the Sanskrit language, you have to take that copper plate with to them, and they can explain you what they wrote on that copper plate. Okay, so that means what, when you want to really want to write any historical document, you should know that different types of languages and different types of script also, then only you can write the document. Otherwise it is not possible. Also, the experts can examine the authenticity of the document by using criteria such as lettering style, author style of writing, manufacturing date, and type of paper, stamps of authority, etc. And not only the languages, not only the script. Okay, so when you are got any old document or any historical thing or any historical object, so what we have to observe, so which letter style they were used. Okay, that copper plate also, suppose you got the copper plate, so which metal this is a copper or silver or gold, and which date it was wrote, so that is also important, and which colors they were used, which symbols they were used. So these all things are very important when you are writing any historical document. Such a document is further scrutinized by a historians with the help of relevant historical references. So that type of documents means scrutinized. Scrutinized means what? Um, Written by the historians. That means so many historians, they are studied about that particular document, and then they are implemented. That means this is a true story or this is a true document, so like that they are giving the permission to write the article or document about that historical event. So that is the scrutinized. Okay, next one. So when you want to write any historical document, so you have to use the some methods. So what is that method? See here. Here they are given one chart to you. So this is a historical research method. Okay. So in this, what is first one? First we have to start here. First one is what? Formulating hypothesis. Okay, formulating hypothesis means what? Assuming. Okay, suppose you want to write about a historical history about Shivaji Maharaj, or you want to write a history about Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, first you have to assume. So already we know about something about the Mahatma Gandhi. He born in Gujarat and he fighted for freedom of India. So these all things we know. So based on that little information, you have to assume more and more about Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so first one is what? Assuming. Second one, critically examining a various sources of history. Okay, so about Mahatma Gandhi, what are the sources you have? That means in which resources you have for getting the information of Mahatma Gandhi. Like some songs also having about Mahatma Gandhi. So many books also. So many what are things also available. Uh, about knowing the Mahatma Gandhi. So what are the things you have? So you have to observe very clearly. Then what information you got using that things? So that is we call as a critical examining various sources of history. Suppose you have the material sources about Mahatma Gandhi, like his stick or his clothes or his slippers or his spets. So whatever you got, so you have to critically examine that. And suppose you got the written sources about Mahatma Gandhi, like a biography of Mahatma Gandhi or diary of Mahatma Gandhi or any document about Mahatma Gandhi. So you have to read that book so very clearly. And third one, any songs you got orally, oral songs if you got about Mahatma Gandhi. So you have to practice that songs also. You have to listen that songs also. Then you will get the more information. So first one is what? Assuming. Second one is what? Examining the sources like material, written and oral sources. And what is third method? Examining relevant references of the available historical information. Okay, so what are the information you know? Suppose you know about Mahatma Gandhi, so he was a great freedom fighter and he sacrificed his life for getting the freedom of our country. So you know this information. So when you are reading any book, okay, so you have to compare what information you know, so that information is real or not. So this information or in this book or not. Okay, you have to compare that one. So that is the examining relevant. So what is the information you know, so that information is right or wrong, you have to compare with the any documents or any material sources or written sources or oral sources. So that is the third one. And fourth one is collecting historical information, highlighting the process that lead to historical transaction, carrying out comparative analysis. Okay, fourth one is what? So what are the things available? What are the historical sources available about Mahatma Gandhi? So you have to collect all these things, whether it is material or whether it is written or whether it is oral sources, any documents or songs or things available. So you have to collect all these things. So in that things, which one is very important for about Mahatma Gandhi story? So you have to highlight that things. Okay, so that is the fourth one. And next one, understanding the references regarding time and space of the given historical events, and also various conceptual frameworks used in historical research method. And after that, so you have to take the when he was born, where these all things are happen. Okay, how he fighted against to the Britishers. So these all things we have to take information, and you have to prepare the framework. Framework means what? Before writing any book, you have to prepare one rough note. Okay, so that we call as a framework. So first you have to prepare the framework. So how to start, which page I have to start, which page I have to put in ending. Okay, how to start this book. So that all things we have to do first in a rough work, so that we call as a framework. And finally, formulating relevant questions in view of the historical references. Okay, so first last one is what? So you prepared all the rough work, so you have to start the questioning. Is this right? So suppose you wrote to Mahatma Gandhi born October 6 or October 2. Actually, October 2 is the Mahatma Gandhi's born date. Okay, okay, but you know, you by mistake you wrote October 6. So you have to rise. So it is right or not? Okay, so in your questions, so when you are asking these questions to other persons, so they will say no, October 6 is wrong. October 2 is the Gandhi Jayanti. So like that, they will tell you. So then you have to correct your information. So like that, you have to start the questioning also. So this is the process. Okay, so this method we are using for writing or narrating any historical documents. So you have to follow these all steps. So first one is assuming, second one is the gathering the all sources, and third one is the comparison or examination, or next one is what? Highlighting the important points in that. And next one is what? Preparing the rough work. Finally we have to raise the questions about that particular things. So that is the historical method. Methods of various disciplines are useful in historical research. For example, archaeology, archival science, manuscriptology, epigraphy, study of inscriptions, analysis of lettering style, linguistics, numismatics, study of coins, genealogy, study of lineage, etc. Okay, so when you want to write any history, so you have to do the so much of historical researches. You have to follow the some method, and you should get some knowledge also. So which type of knowledge you need for historical research? The first one is the archaeology. Archaeology means what? What you have to research on historical places. So earthen, suppose you got the earthen pots, or suppose you got the fossils of any animals. So you have to research. So that we call as a archaeology. Next one is what? Archival science. Archival science means what? Library of historical documents or museums. So you should know the information about, or you should know the knowledge about museums, where museums are available and where historical documents are available in that museums. So you should know that information. So archival science means what? Library of historical documents or museum. Next one, manuscriptology. Manuscriptology means what? Handwriting books. So some people are having the habit, like a kings. Okay, they have their they are wrote their autobiography in their language. So you should know about the script also, handwriting books also. You have to uh, how to read handwriting books. So that is also very important. Next one is epigraphy, study of inscriptions. Okay, so what are the coins having? or copper plates having, or stones having. So in that, in olden days they wrote on coins, they wrote on copper plates, or they wrote on burja patras, or they wrote on some stones. So what information they wrote in that inscriptions, so you have to study about that information, or study about that inscriptions. So that we call as a epigraphy. Analysis of lettering style. Lettering style also. So lettering styles also, we have the different types of lettering style also. Suppose we all are writing from right to left, but Muslims are writing in reverse order, so like that. So different type of lettering styles also having. So you have to know, you should know the information about that lettering style also. Different types of letters, what are the different styles of letters we have, so you have to get that knowledge also. So that is very important for historical research. Next one is linguistics. Linguistics means was different types of languages. Um, you should learn the different languages also for historical research. Numismatics, study of coins. So coins, how suppose you got any coin that belongs to the ancient period, or that belongs to the king's period time. Okay, so what language they were used, which type of symbols they were used on that coin, or which type of numbers they were used, which type of metal they were used for preparing these coins. So these information you have to understand. So for that you have to know the numismatics also. Next one is generalogy, study of lineage, etc. uh, Last one is what, study of lineage, etc. That means what are the walls, or study of the genius lifestyle of human. Okay, so genealogy means what, generation of lifestyle. Suppose generation to generation people lifestyle will be different now. So how lifestyle of ancient people, how lifestyle of uh, Indians when Britishers came to India. So that we have to know. So that means what, study of the lifestyle of people as humans also. So that study we call as a genealogist. So when you want to write any historical document, or you want to research on any historical place, so you should know, you should learn these all things. Then only you are eligible for that historical research. Okay, so this is the first part of chapter 1. So if you like my teaching, and you hope it is useful to you, so please subscribe my channel. Thank you.